One man, 5,000 sailors, a floating city the size of 3 football fields, moving through open ocean at 30-plus knots, carrying nuclear reactors, over 70 fighter jets, and enough firepower to change the outcome of a war. And every single thing that happens on that ship, every launch, every landing, every life or death decision, traces back to one person. Not a general, not a politician, a Navy captain. What kind of human being does it take to command that? And more importantly, how does he actually do it? The answer is more fascinating than most people will ever know.
Are you sure you're not just saying that to kiss up to me? From Chicago, Illinois? You know I was born there, you know that?
Here is something most people get wrong about aircraft carrier captains. They think it is a rank. It is not. Captain is a title, the title given to whoever commands the ship. But earning the right to stand on that bridge took a full career. Around 25 years of service, multiple combat deployments, and a training path so demanding that there are more NFL starting quarterbacks than there are qualified carrier commanding officers in the United States Navy. And once they get there, the responsibility is staggering. The carrier does not just carry jets. It carries a city. Thousands of human beings eating, sleeping, working, and sometimes dying, all on a moving platform in the middle of the ocean. No fire department coming, no hospital down the street, no backup, just the captain, his team, and the mission. So let us start from the beginning, because the story of how these men earn the chair is just as extraordinary as what they do in it. Who can even become a carrier captain? Not every Navy officer gets a shot at this, not even close. By federal law, specifically United States Code, Title 10, Section 8162, a carrier commanding officer must be a qualified naval aviator or naval flight officer. That is not a preference. That is the law. You cannot command an aircraft carrier from a desk background. You have to have flown from one. That requirement shapes everything about the path. A future carrier captain starts out as a junior officer, usually in his mid-20s, flying jets off carriers in combat deployments. Over the next decade, he goes from student pilot to department head to squadron commander. Along the way, he has to pass nuclear power school, the same intense training program that qualifies submarine officers. He has to command a carrier-based aircraft squadron. He has to serve as executive officer, second in command, of an aircraft carrier. He has to command at least one large naval vessel before being considered for the big seat. By the time the Navy selects him, he has roughly 25 years in uniform. He has led men and women in real operations. He has made decisions under pressure. He has earned trust at every level. And if you think that is a lot of boxes to check, you are right. That is the point, because the job he is about to take on is unlike any other command in the world. And if you respect that kind of dedication and service, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think of the men and women who make this Navy run. The scale of the problem. Now let us talk about what he is actually walking into. When an aircraft carrier is fully combat ready and deployed, there are as many as 5,000 personnel living and working aboard. That is not just sailors. That includes the ship's company, the permanent crew assigned to run the carrier, plus the carrier air wing, the strike group staff, air wing squadrons, and various support teams. Think about what 5,000 people need every single day. Food, medical care, clothing, sleep, mental health support, discipline, training, leadership, direction. The carrier has its own bakery, its own hospital with surgical capability, its own dentist office, its own chapel, its own barbershop, its own post office, its own television and radio stations, its own brig, the naval jail, its own fire department. One senior officer who served on a carrier compared it to being the mayor of a small city. And that framing is exactly right. Except the city moves at 30-plus knots, has nuclear reactors in the basement, and launches armed jet fighters from its roof every 90 seconds. That is the environment the captain governs. The command structure, how it actually works. The captain cannot manage 5,000 people alone. No human being can. So the Navy built a system, and understanding that system is key to understanding how the carrier functions. At the very top is the captain himself, the commanding officer, or CO. He is responsible for everything, every accident, every success, every mission, every sailor. The law gives him broad authority, and along with that authority comes accountability that is absolute. If something goes wrong on that ship, it ends with him. Directly beneath him is the executive officer, the XO. Think of the captain as the mayor and the XO as the city manager. The XO handles the day-to-day operations, keeps all the departments running, and is essentially the captain in waiting. He holds the same rank, also a naval aviator, and is being groomed for carrier command himself. Below the XO are the department heads. These are 22 commander-ranked officers, each an expert in a specific area. Ship operations, engineering, combat systems, weapons, supply, air operations, aircraft maintenance, medical, intelligence, navigation, safety, legal, training, chaplain services. Each department head runs a team. Each team is broken into divisions. Each division has chiefs and petty officers who lead the enlisted sailors directly. This is the chain. Captain to XO, to department heads to division officers to chiefs to sailors. Every order flows down it. Every report flows back up. The air boss, the most dramatic role on the ship. Now here is where things get intense. The flight deck of an aircraft carrier has been called the most dangerous workplace on Earth. Jet engines running at full power, aircraft moving at high speed in every direction, a surface the size of 4.5 acres, no guardrails, wind howling at 30 knots. Day and night, every day. Somebody has to run that. That person is called the air boss, officially the air officer. The air boss sits in a glass-enclosed space near the top of the island, the small tower structure on the right side of the carrier. That space is called primary flight control, or PRI-FLY. From there, he can see the entire flight deck, the hangar deck, and any aircraft operating within 5 nautical miles of the ship. He controls every single aircraft in that zone. Anything that wants to enter within 5 nautical miles has to get his approval first. His assistant, the mini-boss, handles the launches while the air boss manages recoveries and overall flow. Together they run what is essentially one of the busiest air traffic control systems in the world, except the runway moves, the weather changes by the minute, and the aircraft are armed. And the air boss operates under the captain. Every decision traces back up that chain. But here is what most people never consider. While all of this is happening on the flight deck, the captain is simultaneously managing the entire rest of the ship. Navigation, engineering, combat systems, intelligence feeds, communications with the fleet, coordination with the strike group admiral. He does not sleep in a normal stateroom. Most carrier captains keep a small room near the bridge so they can be there in minutes or seconds when something goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. The color code system, how order is kept in chaos. Now here is something fascinating that very few people outside the Navy fully understand, and it is one of the most elegant solutions to a massive problem you will ever see. How do you manage hundreds of people working simultaneously on a flight deck where the noise level makes voice communication nearly impossible? You use color. Every person on the flight deck wears a colored jersey that tells everyone else exactly who they are and what they do. Yellow jerseys are the directors. They physically guide aircraft into position and signal the launch sequence. They are some of the most visible people on deck. Green shirts are the maintenance and equipment crews. They keep the aircraft and deck gear operational. Purple jerseys belong to the fuel crews, known aboard ship as grapes. They handle all aircraft fueling operations. Red jerseys belong to the ordnance teams, the people handling live weapons, bombs, and missiles. Brown jerseys are plane captains, each one personally responsible for inspecting and preparing a specific aircraft before every flight. White jerseys cover safety personnel and quality control inspectors. Blue jerseys are the deckhands who physically move aircraft. At a glance, even through smoke, weather, or low visibility, any senior officer can instantly identify every person's role on that deck. No confusion, no overlap, just clarity in the middle of controlled chaos. That system does not run itself. The captain set the culture that makes it work. He established the standards, he promoted the people who enforced those standards, and he holds every single person on that deck accountable for knowing their role cold. That is leadership at a level most people never experience. Fascinating fact. Here is something that most people never think about when they watch footage of carrier operations. The Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier ever built, is designed to launch up to 220 sorties per day during peak combat operations. That means 220 aircraft takeoffs and landings, armed, fueled, and combat ready in a single 24-hour period. To do that, the ship uses an electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, instead of the old steam catapults. This system can accelerate an aircraft from 0 to launch speed in 2 seconds with more precision and less mechanical stress than any previous system. Running that level of operation requires every department to be synchronized perfectly. Engineering has to keep power flowing. Supply has to keep fuel and ordnance moving. Medical has to be ready. Navigation has to keep the ship turned into the wind at exactly the right angle for launches and recoveries. And the captain is the single person who has to hold all of that together simultaneously in real time. That is not management. That is mastery. The captain's actual day. So what does a carrier captain's day actually look like? It starts before sunrise. The captain receives a full morning briefing, intelligence reports, weather forecasts, operational schedules, ship status, personnel issues, and updates from the fleet. By the time most of the crew wakes up, he has already been working for hours. He walks the ship, not as a formality, as a necessity. He has to see what his people see. He has to know what is breaking down, what morale looks like, where the friction points are. A good captain is visible. His crew needs to see him, hear him, feel his presence throughout the ship. He sits in on key briefings throughout the day, strike planning, navigation meetings, engineering reviews, safety updates. He handles discipline. Under naval law, the captain has direct authority to administer non-judicial punishment, meaning he can discipline sailors without a formal court-martial for certain offenses. This is called captain's mast. He is judge, warden, and counselor all in one. And then, in the middle of all of this, aircraft are launching and recovering. The captain monitors every evolution. He does not run each one directly, but he sets the conditions that make them possible, and he is called the moment anything deviates from plan. His decisions can have consequences that stretch far beyond the ship. A carrier's movements signal American intent to nations around the world. During the USS Gerald R. Ford's deployment in 2023 and 2024, her presence in the Eastern Mediterranean sent a clear message to multiple governments about American resolve. 239 days away from port, over 10,000 sorties flown, 43 underway replenishments conducted, one captain, one ship, global impact, the psychology of command at this level. There is a dimension to this that most military analysis misses completely, the psychological weight of the job. The captain is the final authority on everything. There is no one on that ship above him except the embarked rear admiral, who commands the strike group but does not run the ship itself. When something goes wrong, a fire, a man overboard, a mechanical failure, a hostile contact, the captain does not call someone for guidance. He decides. Right now. With incomplete information. With lives at stake. That requires a kind of mental toughness that is almost impossible to describe to someone who has not lived it. What the Navy found across decades of studying carrier operations is that the best carrier captains share certain traits. They delegate with absolute clarity. They trust the people they have trained. They push decision-making down to the lowest level that can handle it. because they know they cannot personally supervise 5,000 people. They establish standards so clearly that their crew makes the right call, even when the captain is not watching. Naval scholars describe aircraft carriers as what they call high-reliability organizations, institutions that work in the most dangerous possible environments and still maintain extraordinary safety records, not because they are lucky, because the culture the captain builds makes it so. The captain does not just command the ship, he shapes the soul of it. What happens when it goes wrong? The Navy has a saying, the captain is responsible for everything the ship does or fails to do. That is not a metaphor, it is policy. In American naval history, multiple carrier captains have been relieved of command, meaning removed, not because they personally made a mistake, but because something went wrong on their ship that they should have prevented through better leadership, better training, or better oversight. That standard is deliberately brutal, and it is that way for a reason. When you put 5,000 people on a nuclear-powered vessel carrying armed aircraft into some of the most contested waters on Earth, the tolerance for leadership failure cannot be measured in percentages. It has to be zero. The men who earn this command know that going in. They accepted that standard when they put on the uniform, and they continue accepting it every single day they hold that job. That is what it means to command at the highest level of American naval power. Conclusion. The next time you see footage of an aircraft carrier cutting through the ocean, that massive hull, those jets on deck, those thousands of sailors moving with precision, remember that behind every second of that operation is a human being, one man who spent 25 years earning the right to stand on that bridge, who never fully sleeps, who carries the lives of 5,000 people on his shoulders every hour of every day, who has been trained, tested, and forged into the kind of leader that the United States Navy trusts with its most powerful asset. These men are not just officers. They are the standard. They are proof of what American military training, discipline, and commitment can produce, and every one of us who values this nation's security owes them a deep and genuine respect. If you found this valuable and want to see more content honoring the people who protect this country, hit the like button and subscribe. Every single subscriber helps this channel keep telling these stories, and these stories deserve to be told.